Jamuna tira vanachari. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madhava ki jai, Radha Govinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet nashta prayeshu badeshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamaśloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki om jnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurum militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Vanchakalpatarubhyacha kripa sindubhya evacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to the Srimad Bhāgavatam class. Nice to see you again. Another morning in Vaikuntha. And today we will be reading from the Srimad Bhāgavatam, 3rd canto, 18th chapter, text 24. Please repeat after me. Mainam Maya Vinam Driptam Nirankusham Asatamam Akrida Balavadeva Yata Shivishitam Uttitam Mainam Maya Vinam Driptam Nirankusham Asatamam Akrida Balavadeva Yatashvisham Uttitam Mainam Maya Vinam Dripam Nirankusham Asatamam Akrida Balavadeva Yatashivisham Uttitam. Please chant. Yes. Mainam Maya Vinam Dritam Ashatam Kusham Asatamam Akrida Balava Deva Yadashivisham Uttamam Mainam Maya Vinam Dritam Nirankusham Asatamam Akrida Balava Deva Yadashivisham Uttitam. Nirankusham Asatamam Balava Deva Mainam Maya Vinam Dritam Nirankusham Asatamam Akrida Balava Deva Yadashvisham Uttitam. Mainam Maya Vinam Dritam Nirankusham Asatamam Balava Deva Yatashvisham Uttitam. Mainam Maya Vinam Dritam Nirankusham Asatamam Akrida Balava Deva Yatashivisham Uttitam. Ma, do not. Enam, him. Mayavinam, skilled in conjuring tricks. Driptam, arrogant. Nirankusham, self-sufficient. Asattamam, most wicked. Akrida, play with. Balavat, like a child. Deva, O Lord, Yata, as Ashivisham, a serpent, Utitam, aroused. Translation. Lord Brahma continued, My dear Lord, there is no need to play with this serpentine demon, who is always very skilled in conjuring tricks and is arrogant, self-sufficient and most wicked. Purport. No one is unhappy when a serpent is killed. It is a practice among village boys to catch a serpent by the tail and play with it for some time and then kill it. Similarly, the Lord could have killed the demon at once, but he played with him in the same way as a child plays with a snake before killing it. Brahma requested, however, that since the demon was more wicked and undesirable than a serpent, there was no need to play with him. It was his wish that he be killed at once, without delay. Once again, the translation. Lord Brahma continued, My dear Lord, there is no need to play with this serpentine demon, who is always very skilled in conjuring tricks, and is arrogant, self-sufficient, and most wicked. So in this wonderful pastime, we are seeing something very interesting exhibited by Krishna himself. He is giving the example of how a demon should be treated. And that even the devotees are rejoicing in the killing of a demon. And of course, because Krishna's pastimes, he had to play with it like a child. Even Prabhupada is explaining, some children apparently catch snakes and they also play with them and they kill them. In the same manner, Krishna, he was playing with the demon, just like a cat plays with a mouse when he catches it, plays a little bit with it and then he kills it. It would have been just necessary one stroke, or just like Balaram killed Romaharshana Sutta, right? Just with a small piece of grass, maybe even less than that. Maybe it was just necessary for Krishna to do like this, to blow to him, or not even to participate in the fight. He could just have sent a thunderbolt or something from the sky, and the demon could have died. But because Krishna likes to have his pastimes, and that is why he does these sporting activities in killing the demons. And by killing a demon in this way, actually, some will say, but killing is not good. Killing is bad. I mean, even if a bad person is killed, put him in jail. Try to reform him somehow. Why kill it? But here we're seeing how devotees are happy when a serpent-like demon is killed. A scorpion and a snake, when they're killed, even the sadhus are rejoicing, because they are very envious creatures, and their existence is very troublesome. You can just go through the forest and without even noticing, a snake can bite you. Or sometimes maybe you're living in a Middle Eastern place, village, city, And many times it happens that a scorpion goes in the shoe. And little that you know, when you put your shoe, you got stung by a scorpion, by the envious creature. And then you can die. Of course, most of the times, scorpions are not deadly, but the smallest ones and the black ones, those are the most dangerous, the most deadly. So, when a creature like this is killed, it is for the benefit of the entire world, especially an envious demon like Hiranyaksha, who was giving trouble to the entire universe. When a demoniac person like this is killed, it gives great relief. It relieves the burden of sinful influence, which actually brings so much unhappiness. Even the demigods were afraid, even they were unhappy from his nefarious activities. So that's why they were hesitant. Not hesitant, they couldn't wait that the demon was killed. So in the same manner, we follow the example, and we also have to be ruthless in seizing these demons. But in our situation, we have to understand that in Kali Yuga, many of these demons, they are existing within us. So we have to individualize the demoniac influence that we have in our own contaminated heart and destroy everything unnecessary. Of course, with the help of many agents, just like the scriptures and our fellow spiritual teachers. We cannot do it alone. What are these demons? Does anybody know how they're called? Do you know, Phil? Can you name one demon? Huh? Yeah, but what exactly are these demons? What are they representing? Envy, lust, anger, greed, envy, jealousy, all these negative anarthas which we have in our mind, in our heart, which are driving us to enjoy the world and to compete with the other jivas. So we have the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita, which is very, very scientific, and it's very clear of what's going on and how we can individualize these evil influences and how we can seize them with the weapon of knowledge. For example, by understanding how lust, greed, and anger, how the mind works, one has to take the appropriate measures. And when the slightest symptom is there, when the slightest symptom of envy towards somebody, when the slightest symptom of anger, of lust, uncontrollable lust, unsatiable, comes about, we have to be merciless. We have to check this evil influence. But how do we check it? Sometimes it's very difficult. So that's why we have a whole system, a whole society, environment, which is nothing but the favorable environment and science that will help us to uproot these demons from our heart. We have raising early in the morning, which is very favorable for spiritual practices. We have the chanting of the holy names, of course, the main thing. Association with devotees, because on our own we cannot exist. We're very dependent. Then we have prasadam. We have friends, we have juniors, and we have seniors, which are giving us shelter. We have the deities, we have deity worship, we have our services, we have preaching. So all these elements, they're helping us to stay aloof from this influence, which is there, it's in our hearts. And as soon as we distract ourselves even a little bit, as soon as we become a little bit slacking in our chanting or offensive in our association, immediately Maya unleashes the beasts. And even a learned man who's been studying and learning for so many years, even he can be influenced if just one of his senses is uncontrolled. Just like a boat in the sea can be swiped away by the wind. So in this way we have to become transcendental warriors and fight against our conditionings, which we have since time immemorial. We don't have them. We don't have these things just from this birth. We may have acquired something, but most of it is our previous desires, our previous particular way of willing to enjoy material nature. So many lifetimes as animals, as plants, and as demigods, as hellish creatures. It's all being stored in our subtle bodies. And now, just with little bit of bhakti yoga, just with 30, 40 years of solid practice, all these demons can be seized. It's amazing. Sometimes we're impatient and we don't notice. Just like a child doesn't notice his growth. You know, you're 3 years old and then after a few years, you're 5 years old. And then 8 years old. And you haven't noticed how you have grown, but you have grown. And in this way, purification is always there when we apply ourselves. We don't notice it. But a lot of anarthas are being shed. And if we're just patient, utsahan nishchaya dharyat, tat karma pravartanat, then we will see after years and years of practice how these demons become slain by the holy name. All these sinful propensities that are lying in our heart, or the so-called aprarabdha karma. When we desire to enjoy the material world, the papa beach is being planted in our heart. And that's the unmanifested karmic reactions. And then when we actually do the activity, then that is being stored and it will manifest as the fruit, as the phala. Just like disease, Prabhupada explains in his purport. You might contact the disease just like asymptomatic symptoms, people who are getting COVID. It's in your body, it's there, but it hasn't manifested. And then, at one point, when your immune system goes down, it comes out as pain, as diseases, various kinds of diseases, as adibhautika, adidaivika, and adhyatmika, as some distress from other living entities or from natural disasters. And in this way, this cycle continues. We have so many sinful activities stored as seed. Some are taking fruit now, just the bud is comparing, and some are completely sprouted, so we're completely suffering of them. Some goes like this. But by taking full shelter of the holy name, by chanting, by trying to improve in our chanting, or namabhas, the shadow of the chanting of the pure holy name, even that little bit of endeavor to improve in our meditation on the holy names, in our relationship, that is erasing all this aprarabdha and prarabdha karma. All these demons become slain by this process. There is no difference between Krishna and his holy names. And there is no demon big enough to be able to withstand the power of the holy name. So, to not have faith that the holy name can destroy all these things, as we read every morning after the morning ceremony, it's an offense to the holy name, because there is nothing that can withstand Krishna's power, because Krishna is the supreme powerful. Krishna is the supreme shelter, is the supreme intelligent, the supreme beauty, and so forth. So in this way we have to take shelter, we have to develop our faith by continuously reading these pastimes, bathing our intelligence in trying to understand the underlying principles, the details, and apply them. Distinguish between details and principles and apply them in our life. Demigods are afraid because even they haven't attained complete perfection. Even they have some material attachments and they're afraid to lose them. That's why it's described how Brahma was hesitant, was impatient, not hesitant, for the demon to be killed, because this is the nature of the material world. Even pious people and even the most pious demigods, they are attached to their own positions. Family, position, country, nation. Everybody is afraid to lose something. But actually, when one takes shelter of Krishna, Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, That is the supreme victory. Because nobody loses. Whatever Krishna does is good. Whenever Krishna is killing, whenever Krishna is stealing, or cheating, or being good, or giving his mercy, it's actually all good. It's transcendental. That's why Krishna is called Hari, one who takes everything. That's why there are many Indian devotees, or just Indians, who know about Hari and they don't want to get too much intimate, because Hari will take everything. Hari will take your family away. It will take your business. It will take your material desires. Yes. The petty small material desires that we have. The American dream. To be successful, to be prestigious, to have that particular situation, that particular rasa, jada rasa, to live in the mountain with in your own house, to be off-grid, to plant your own vegetables. Krishna will take everything, and in the end he will take your heart. He will steal your heart. That is his transcendental potency. But on the other side, pure devotees are not afraid of the demons, because they are under the complete shelter of the Lord, and they have no fear. Abhay Charana-ravinda, just like Prabhupada, completely fearless. He was standing still in any circumstance. Or just like Prahlad Maharaj, when Narasimhadev killed the big demon Hiranyakashipu, who was the brother of Hiranyaksha. Even at that time, the demigods were very, very much afraid, because of the same reason. Everybody was afraid. But Prahlad Maharaj, he was standing still. He didn't have any bothering in his head. And of course, it's the pastime how Prahlad went nearby Narasimhadev, and in this way, the transcendental anger of the Lord was pacified. You ever heard the story? Phil? They're giving Lakshmi. They were giving Lakshmi to Narasimhadev. Please, Narasimhadev. Yes, even Lakshmi was afraid. But Prahlad wasn't afraid. There is one verse I wanted to read from that pastime. 8, 7, 8, 10. In former times there were many fools like you who did not conquer the 6 enemies that steal away the wealth of the body. These fools were very proud, thinking, I have conquered all enemies in all the 10 directions. But if a person is victorious over the 6 enemies and is equiposed toward all living entities, for him there are no enemies. Enemies are merely imagined by one's ignorance. Purport. In this material world, everyone thinks that he has conquered his enemies, not understanding that his enemies are his uncontrolled mind and 5 senses. Mana shashtani indriyani prakriti shtani karshati. 5.7 Bhagavad Gita. In this material world, everyone has become a servant of the senses. Originally, everyone is a servant of Krishna. But in ignorance, one forgets this. And thus one is engaged in the service of Maya, through lusty desires, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and jealousy. Everyone is actually dependent on the reaction of material laws. But still one thinks himself independent and thinks that he has conquered all directions. In conclusion, one who thinks that he has many enemies is an ignorant man, whereas one who is in Krishna consciousness knows that there are no enemies, but those within oneself, the uncontrolled mind and senses. So this is some very deep insight for us. There are no enemies besides what we have inside of us. We cannot win these enemies on our own. We have to take shelter. And Srila Prabhupada, he was also bold and exemplary preacher, just like Prahlad Maharaj. That's why he's such an important figure in our spiritual life. He wasn't hesitant to counteract the evil influence of Kali caused by his demoniac agents. And in this way we have to participate in this movement and follow in the same footsteps of Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas. And we have to fight with full strength in order to establish the glory of the Lord, and if necessary, destroy all the opposing demons who are threatening the life and peace of everyone. Because the demons are out there and they are not wasting their time. Even 1 second, they are destroying the world. They don't care. They can kill indiscriminately. They can start wars, finance, the both fronts. They can create biological weapons, viruses, to control the population, to reduce the population, to fulfill their nasty agenda. They have no remorse. And they are the ones who are propagating philosophies, isms, communism, Marxism, capitalism, existentialism, feminism. All these isms, they are all materialistic attempts to fulfill a demoniac agenda. All these isms, they are all coming from the influence of the age of Kali. They are all demoniac, and we as devotees, we have to learn the philosophy and we have to defeat all these isms. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, the Mayavada philosophy, the Shunyavada philosophy. Everybody in the West is more or less influenced by impersonalism. And nobody is happy in this world. We can see the proof when we go outside in the city. The other day we went for Harinam. The brightest Christian festival is just around the corner. So many rich people. But you could see their faces. They were like full with worry and grief, and I know how they're feeling because I was feeling in the same way. In the past, when the holidays were approaching, you know. You feel a little bit of magical atmosphere and anticipation, and you're like, yes, I'll get some gifts and I'll get together with my family, but it doesn't last long before you kind of come to the crude reality of what is happening outside, you know. No happiness. There is no happiness in receiving temporary gifts or having artificial relationships based on lust and greed. And you can see in somebody's face, you can see the emptiness. And we saw it the other day. People were so empty. Christmas is here, and then what? There is nothing. So, even amidst so many difficulties and opposing elements, we have to continue trying to conserve our integrity as devotees, because we are also influenced by all these things. We are still under the modes. We might be weak many times. That's why we need a strong sadhana. We have to be continuously tempering our intelligence with daily shastric studies and discussions with the devotees, and become bold preachers, because not preaching is violence. Just by standing still and doing nothing, or just doing your own thing and not contributing to the missionary movement, that is violence according to the Bhagavad Gita. So we have to practice ahimsa. We have to become non-violent. And we have to become still in our daily sadhana. No compromise. When we see any demoniac influence in our hearts, and no compromise when we see the demons from outside attacking, because they are threatening everybody's security and life, because they are against God's will. So this is what I wanted to share with you, dear devotees. If somebody wants to ask a question or say something, now is the time. Mataji? Yeah. Welcome to the club. So Mataji was asking, how is that even though we're practicing, even though you had maybe a good rounds in the morning, you're having a good sadhana, still some thoughts kick in, and you start thinking about something else, which is not devotional service, not necessarily something very sinful or bad. But why is this happening even though we're trying hard, being sincere and practicing? Is it proper understanding? Okay. Yes, so it's a very valid question. It won't happen like this. Just like even if you want to achieve something in this world, let's say you tell somebody, okay, become a millionaire. Okay? Give me some time. Give me at least 1 year. You can't become a millionaire in 2 weeks. You have to have a plan. And you have to work for it. And it's something new, something you have to push yourself. You have to definitely feel the pressure and the challenge, because it's a new model of existence. You've never been wealthy, so you have to start thinking in a different way. So you have to change the way you think. You have to change your culture, maybe even, to achieve something superior. And that's not very easy. Otherwise, everybody would do it, right? The same principle applies in every aspect of our life. That's why we have few Olympic champions, and so many others are trying, and so many others are not even doing sport, for example. So that's one point, that it's a process. It's a process of polishing. So the diamond is a diamond, even if it's not polished. But the process of polishing takes some time. Prabhupada said many times, that was his slogan, get back home, back to Godhead, this life. That's intelligence. That can be done. If we just surrender, if we take it up fully, it can be done. 30, 40 years, good enough. But otherwise, cooking with smoke. Can we cook a focaccia with smoke? Even if we leave it there for thousands of years, nothing will happen. The cockroaches will come and eat it. Yes, and we won't have any focaccia in the end. And so that's why patience, I was mentioning this verse from the Nectar of Instruction, Utsahan Nishchayat Dairyat. We have to be patient because our subconscious mind, the chitta, is it's like a hard disk with storage of so many previous programs and viruses. And they come like bubbles. Sometimes the example of a swamp is used. You see, the swamp is still, maybe, and sometimes some bubbles are coming. Blub, 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 blub. Some bubbles. So in the same way, we might be very nice and saintly after our Sunday program, maybe, or the festival. We can relate to this, for example, Sadhu Sangha festival, or Dat Sangha festival, or Janmashtami. You're like feeling the bhakti, and you're like, yes, Krishna is wonderful, Srila Prabhupada. You're feeling the bliss, and then next day, some bubbles come up. Blah, 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 blah. What is this? It was just so blissful yesterday. I had prasada and devotees, and why do I have to deal with this? Why it doesn't go away? But this is the nature of the mind. And this is in a way a reminder of what we have been into. They're not casually there, we have cultivated these desires, and they have been stored deeply in our consciousness, in our subtle body, and they're coming sometimes. Even we know Yamunacharya, was he the Yamunacharya who was saying, when a thought of sex comes to my mind, my mouth, my lips curl in distaste, and I spit on the thought. So he was a glorious devotee. He was probably a Prema Bhakta already, or if not, a Bhava Bhakta. And still the mind was bringing up these desires. So that is the nature of the mind. That is how the mind works. The mind is material, and the mind is made to be one with the sense objects. They're not separate. The sense objects and the mind are one. So the mind will always generate some desires. But what is the difference between the neophyte devotee and the advanced devotee? That the neophyte devotee is like a puddle. The slightest wind, the slightest disturbance, and the puddle becomes very agitated. But the advanced devotee is like the Pacific ocean. And even though so many disturbances and all the rivers that are flowing into it, which are like the material desires, he is not shaken because he's deep. He's deeply rooted in Shastra. Uttama Adhikari. Uttama is very, very deep. Nothing can shake him. Prabhupada said, Swami means one who is amidst of temptations and he's not influenced. So all these desires, they will be continuously passing our mind. But we have to become steady, we have to become solid. And it takes time. It takes time. So we have to be patient. We have to be really patient. After all, we're attempting something that not even many Olympic champions have ever thought about. We're attempting to win death. How difficult it is to win death. Becoming a big man in this world, having a little bit of money, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, it's nothing. And it's so difficult. What to speak of winning death. So we shouldn't be expecting an easy life. We shouldn't be expecting that you just drink your coconut juice on the beach of some beautiful place, and you chant your rounds and do some kirtan here and there and give some donations, and magic will happen. No, it's really Krishna really wants the totality of our existence. He wants us to surrender completely. He wants us to become completely transparent. Because this is who we actually are. This is our true identity. To be selfless servant. And so don't be surprised. This happens to everybody. To the neophytes and even to more advanced devotees. Sachinandana Maharaj, he was saying in one lecture, he was commenting how there was Mayapur mellows just going on, and the next one was him to lead the kirtan. And he was saying, just see how this rascal mind is working. I'm just about to sing a very nice kirtan in front of Panchatattva with all these wonderful devotees, like 200-300, even more, 500 devotees. And I started thinking about my mother. Why would I think about my mother? So like this, the first 7 years of our life, whatever comes into our mind, whatever programming we receive, that will be 90% of who we are in this lifetime. So many of us, we have observed violence in our early lives. We have observed so many nasty things. And it just stays there. It doesn't go easily. And this is a reminder of what it means to become intimate in the association with Maya. It will always remain as a reminder for us, so that we learn our lesson and we don't. So that we don't want to do it anymore. Because pursuing material thoughts and desires makes us more and more entangled. And that's prolonging our sufferings. I don't know if I'm answering your question completely. Welcome. So it's 9:05. I guess we ended up here. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Grantarat Srimad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Radha Govinda Deva ki jai. Savior of the whole world, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Prasad ki jai. Take over, Premanandi. My name is Matanga Dāsa. Matanga. Srila Prabhupada ki